sentence on an underlying weapons charges and drug charges, Your Honor. To keep it brief, he was given probation once. He's been modified to, and given another chance at drug offender supervision, even after he failed to attend the Bridgeway treatment that he was supposed to do. Now he's back on a second violation, and he has failed a drug test and continued to use drugs, Your Honor. The state is asking for the 40-month suspended sentence in this case.
Mr. Medina.
Just a few opening remarks, Your Honor. The court, I think, has the evaluation by Dr. McDonald report. I also wanted the court to know that the state and I had discussed that the state has no objection to the court's consideration of that report, and as well the defense has no objection to consideration of Community Control Officer Heather Keene's violation of Community Control report. And wanted the court aware of a couple things before we begin, is that he has been accepted to Phoenix House, which was the preferred alternative by Dr. McDonald in her report. He has, and I think Dr. McDonald's report recognizes this, he has successfully done Bridgeway, but then he had in April of this year a relapse. So it is available to him, if the court will permit it, to do a Phoenix House reinstatement and modification. There's no new law violation, so without a downward departure, the court has that discretion to reinstate and modify. I would also add that if a downward departure were necessary, that Dr. McDonald's report does support the fact that he does have a mental health disorder that would be amenable to treatment. Again, as I stated, Phoenix House would be a good option. She is not stating that his only problem by any means is mental health. He clearly has a serious substance abuse problem. Unlike the last person who testified, I did want the court to understand my position as his advocate is that I'm not saying that he would qualify under that drug offender probation statute, because that does have a 60-point cap. He has approximately 90 points, so that statute is not in play. But as again, we really don't have to have a downward departure if the court is willing to reinstate and modify and to send him to Phoenix House. He's never done inpatient treatment before. He's not part, at this point in time, he hasn't been approved. He's not part of the ECLC pod, but he has been going to those meetings. So he's going to be testifying whenever the court will permit it, and he'll probably be our only witness, Your Honor.
Does the state have any witnesses?
No, Your Honor, the state does not have any witnesses.
Who do you wish to call as a witness, Mr.
No, I would like to call Jose Booney, Your Honor. May he?
He may. Madam Clerk, would you please swear the witness?
You swear affirm the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Please be seated. Talk into that mic, please. Mr. Medina.
Thank you. Jose, what is your full name, sir?
Jose Galvez Mooney,
Okay. And where were you born?
Columbus, Mississippi.
Okay. I'm not going to try to go over your life story, but how old are you again?
I'm 41, sir.
41, okay. Have you read Dr. McDonald's report?
Briefly. It was originally, because presented to me with Ryan Morrow, and he came to me back, I believe, in June or July.
Okay, okay. All right, that report stands on its own, but I'm going to just ask you a little bit about your background. It looked like, according to Dr. McDonald's history on you, is that you've been in and out of incarceration since you were a teenager, is that correct?
Yes, sir. I've done juvenile detention programs. I was at Boys Base, in and out of jail, multiple times in prison.
Okay, because she listed 4 times. Have there been four times in prison or more?
Yeah, I've been in prison 4 times, 4
Okay,
sentences.
what was the most lengthy?
This just last one, it was 60 months, almost, 5 years.
Okay. And the whole time you're getting in trouble, are you also a substance abuser?
Yes.
Okay. So how long have you been a chronic substance abuser?
I've been using drugs since the age of 12 and up. Stints of in and out.
Okay.
But like again, I said, programs. The drugs has been a big part of my life.
Okay. Now, I don't want to, again, we probably could do a whole day on your life, but we're not going to do that. It's not necessary and it's not efficient. But I do want the court to understand, when you were 12 and you were starting to use drugs, was this a happy party experience, or were you self-medicating for some reason because of some things that were going on in your life?
There was, I mean, I would like to say it was supposed to be for happy times, but there was so much going on. I'm growing up in a single home, necessary negativity with like older families. It's just, I was sheltered, but yet lenient growing up. I mean, my mom worked 3 jobs trying to support me, so there was really no figure of me to tell me what to do with, what was right and wrong. So I kind of had the influence of other people.
Mm-hmm.
So the trouble I'm getting to, I thought it was just normal. Doing the drugs, this is what everybody was doing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Was your dad part of your life at this point in time?
He tried to be, but again, he was an alcoholic himself.
Mm-hmm.
And
you were not in, were you in joint custody or were you primary custody with your mom?
I was primary custody with my mother. It turned out that he was abusive at the time, and my mother and him had a falling out and ended up divorcing. He moved to California, so
Okay.
very limited contact with him.
Okay, and were you growing up in Okaloosa County?
Okay. Pretty much all my life.
Okay, all right. Now we're going to fast forward. There's a lot of stuff that we're going to skip over. August 10 of 2021, you did a plea to the bench agreement back with Judge, I believe, Gonteric, and then I think it was before Judge Gonteric on October 11, 2021. You testified, you got a sentence that basically did not send you to prison.
Yes, sir.
And at that time, we're not going to go back. We did not submit separately, but at that point in time, you had an evaluation by Dr. Zeman that was part of the mix at that time. Okay. We're not going to go into that because Dr. McDonald looked at your situation fresh. Okay, but I do want to talk about when you sat in either that chair or one like it, or maybe you were sitting at the table when you saw Judge Gonteric. Do you remember if you testified? I don't remember if you testified at that
No,
sentencing.
I never testified, sir.
Okay. All right. Now, needless to say, not picking on you, I'm your advocate, not trying to be mean, but you have fallen many times back into drug use. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. Why should the court give you with a 40-month, not only a cap, but a 40-month suspended sentence? Why should the court consider allowing you to go get drug treatment at Phoenix House?
I mean, I would like to believe that even with the court system and even myself, we were trying to come to a resolution of a problem. Now, the problem is I have a drug issue. You know, I've been to prison multiple times and it has never been addressed. Because of my drug problem, I went back to prison multiple times. I don't want to go back. I mean, I would like to believe people in here would like to see a good outcome instead of a repeating scenario.
Okay.
The drug treatment program is something I have never tried. The rehab facility was something that was never available for me.
Okay.
And it's just, I like to believe that's our chance.
Okay. You were doing Bridgeway. Was that the intensive program at the time, or can you describe what you were doing at Bridgeway?
It was the outpatient program. It was difficult because it was early in the mornings, and I was taking this new medication for the mental issues I was going through, and it was affecting me to being there on time, which was a result that I was late 3 times and I was discharged. It was never the fact that I didn't want to go. It was just part of the rules of it. If you were late, you were susceptible to be discharged from the program and you had to restart.
Okay.
Hence the violation.
Okay.
But I pushed through it, and the group meetings every day, you know, Monday through Friday, with a group of my peers, unjudging, with similar issues that I was going through, and just to speak about our problems and to learn different coping skills and how to try to do our alternative besides relapse and drugs.
Meanwhile, that was outpatient, so not saying that you don't have the stresses of life in one form or fashion, whether you're in jail or Phoenix House, where you get the opportunity. There's always stresses and pressures and temptations, but you had a lot of remorse and guilt toward your failing in life, and also wanting to kind of make amends with your mother. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, of course. My mother has been like the biggest support that I had through all this, and I was actually grateful and almost proud of that she's starting to see change that I was providing for her. Yeah. The regret I've done for so many years of going in prison, leaving her on her own and having to support and beg her for help while I was in prison, you know, it mentally it affects me because I know she struggles. You know, she worked 3 jobs to support 3 boys of her own. You know, at the time, you know, limited education because she is from Thailand and she doesn't know a lot of English, so she took jobs where she could. So coming from that background, the Asian background, when we were taught to, you know, we have to support our mother at the times, you know, after all what she did for us. So I tried to do the best I could, and the fact that I kept relapsing and knowing that I'm doing this, it don't make sense. You know, I know there's something wrong about it.
And in fact, Dr. McDonald felt that your desire to kind of make things right with your family, especially with your mother, was so dominant that was causing you at the time of her evaluation to not be as inclined to do the Phoenix House. Can you comment on that?
What have I done to my mother? I'm afraid to leave her. Where she is at now, she had got COVID in 21 and almost died. And at that time, I was on community control. I was visiting her in the hospice county or hospital, the see her on the bed, on the oxygen machine, you know, barely clinging to life, I was afraid to leave her. But I was afraid if I go to this drug treatment program at that time, you know, she could have passed away. And I don't want to act like what I would have done if that would happen while I was there.
Is your mother, what's her age now?
She's 79 now.
Okay. Is she stable now?
She had a few relapses. You know, she had a blood disease, a kidney failure. She's been in and out of the hospital, but at the moment now, she is actually in a stable.
Okay. Do you have children of your own?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Why are you better able to understand the appropriateness of Phoenix House than maybe even 7 or 8 months ago when you met with Dr. McDonald?
Well, at that time, while I was in the county, I had a lot of time to think, and I was actually blessed enough to have an employee of mine that I worked with at my last job kind of reached out to me, and her family's been actually really big support. Kind of gave me a little more of a clarity to think of like what I had and what was available out there that I was losing due to the fact of my drug use. And you know, to have them in my life at the time, now, you know, I'm grateful for it, and I want to do something better and something changed for not only for my mother and them, but myself.
And you stated your mother's from Thailand. Is your father from Thailand too?
No, he is from the Philippines.
Okay. Is he deceased?
No.
Okay. All right. Have you been participating in this ECLC program at the jail?
I have been going to the meetings when they call for the group. I had an opportunity to go to the dorm, but it was a waiting list I had to wait on, and I signed up late before the program I went before, because at the moment I was focusing and was trying to get into the Phoenix House at that time. So the available bed space was no longer available for me at that time.
Okay. Mr. Booney, what else would you want to say to the court, if anything?
Just that you know, I have this actually opportunity to go to a facility, something different besides a DOC prison. I've done the prison system. It hasn't helped. All I ask is just let me try something different to do better.
Okay. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I don't have any questions for Mr. Booney.
Very good, Mr. Booney, Mr. Deputy, Any other witnesses, Mr. Medina?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Sharpless, you wish to make closing remarks?
Yes, as the court will give me just a second, I'm looking at something on the evaluation report. I just want to confirm something. Your Honor, again, Mr. Booney is correct. He's been to prison. He had a trafficking case. He's had a burglary case. He's had several felony charges. Even then, Mr. Booney was given the opportunity with this possession of a firearm case, which he had possession of an actual loaded firearm in this underlying case, to be placed on probation, but he knew that he had the suspended sentence hanging over his head. Even then, he was given another chance to continue on probation with drug treatment, even after another violation. He still knew he had the suspended sentence hanging over her head. And now we're here with a second violation. Your Honor, Mr. Booney has completed the intensive outpatient treatment at Bridgeway for mental health issues. It does look like, according to Officer Keene's violation report, it does look like the drug and alcohol evaluation did occur. The state just has a different view than what Mr. Booney and Mr. Medina have. Obviously, that's going to happen a lot, but even on the violation report, it says that he was supposed to attend AA and NA meetings, and Officer Keene has that as not completed. So there are concerns the state has that he was given another shot at probation, even though the court saw fit to give him a downward departure on a serious gun case, that he's continuing to test positive for substances, Your Honor, even a year or two later. A suspended sentence has no teeth unless it's imposed, especially for the second violation, Your Honor. The state and the department don't have any more options for Mr. Booney. We're requesting the suspended sentence be imposed. No more leniency. Leniency can be given to Mr. Booney. I think Mr. Medina is correct that he could be reinstated and modified without technically the court having to give a reason for a downward departure. But I don't think the court should do that. This is his second violation. Again, a suspended sentence has no teeth unless it's imposed. We're asking for the suspended sentence to be imposed.
Mr. Medina.
Your Honor, Mr. Booney is humbled to be here. I almost don't want to stand up because I'm not proud to be here. I've been knowing him since late 2020. Seems like a really nice guy. He keeps failing, but I can stand up here and ask for Phoenix House in good conscience, not only as his advocate, but it's a situation, Your Honor, where it's not a matter of trying to avoid accountability of punishment. It's a matter of that's always there. It's going to be an option. I hope it's not, but he does have a good option to maybe change his life. He's tried and failed and tried and failed, and the outpatient thing is not going to be adequate. Dr. McDonald said in a report that the Phoenix House, that the Bridgeway treatment he was getting was primarily focused on this mental health treatment. Dr. McDonald mentioned 3 other disorders that are related to drugs. She did say that he definitely has a mental health disorder that's amenable to treatment, but she really feels the drugs are a major problem with him, and that's, again, I'm going to sit down, and the court will do as it sees fit, and I appreciate the court's time. I ask the court to consider giving him this chance. He doesn't deserve it, but it really might help, and he's not a person that I can, none of us know, is it going to work? And if he gets this chance, I hope that he will take every advantage of it and never show himself in orange again. Thank you.
Mr. Booney, would you come to the podium along with your attorney? So I did ask you the score sheet. The defense is not opposed to the...
That's correct, Your Honor.
Mr. Booney, I've had several sentencings today, and as I've said during each of them, it's kind of it's where the rubber meets the road as a judge.
Yes.
It's a difficult thing to do. And some sentencings are easier than others. And when you talk about a hard sentence, it's hard on a judge, not that you care about a judge, but is when you give substantial sentences.
Yes, sir.
It's not easy. I mean, anybody's got a heart, you know. We don't want to see our fellow man going down to prison.
Yes, sir.
But there's reasons for that, and there's reasons for the rules in our society, and we have a very structured system. And quite frankly, our system provides a lot of chances. I personally wish that we had a little more rehabilitative efforts. I'm glad they're doing that a little bit in our local jail, actually, and they do some at DOC. I wish they would do more. I wish we had more quality, because we need people out in society, not people in prison. That being said, when the court comes with difficult cases, the court looks to the guidelines and statutes, and it's a very sophisticated, the score sheet comes from a very sophisticated scoring mechanism that the state comes up with a range of scores. It's clear that, from your report that, and I think it's important to acknowledge that, you have issues with both mental health and with your substance abuse. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't. But it does mean that you've got issues. Those issues, unfortunately, have continued to rear their head. And the problem the court's having is that you have had a number of different chances along the way. And the last one with suspended sentence, and even after that, kind of another chance that court finds that the court is forced to follow the rules of the score sheet guidelines for a minimum sentence. This is actually below the minimum sentence. This recommended through good negotiation by your attorney in the original plea agreement. The court does feel that, not happy about it. I believe that the court has to impose the suspended sentence, the 40 months that's in the plea and sentencing agreement. I do hope, and again, we haven't had a lot of experience, but I know we can do this with the juveniles. Can we make, I don't want to say recommendations or efforts that there be drug programs in the facility that he's assigned to? They do have some facility. They do have some.
Your Honor, Officer Keene was actually making a recommendation that the court state that it wouldn't object him going to a facility that might address mental health or substance abuse.
I'll go beyond that. Our court would recommend it based on the expert report from our mental health and substance abuse evaluator. They recommended both for that and mental health. And I do hope that you can continue to make progress and don't give up.
No, sir. Thank you.
I've got this sign, and I used to give it to juvenile. I need to start bringing it down to my adult court. It's a drawing somebody made of a pelican or something with a big beak, and it was a frog. And the frog was in the belt and the pelican's beak in the mouth. And the frog got his hands around the throat of the pelican saying, "Don't ever give up." And that's got to be your sign. You got to say, "I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give in to this. I'm going to come out so I can be with my mother in her last days and try and do that." So, if you were going to that life center at the jail, one of the primary tenets of Christianity is that everyone has self-worth based upon the fact that we're born in the likeness of God. So don't ever forget that.
No, sir.
May I ask a couple clarifying questions?
You may.
Is the court revoking and terminating his supervision? And also,
I'm not ordering any post-incarcerative probation.
yes, Your Honor, and the 40-month suspended sentence is to be served with credit for all time served.
Absolutely.
And $100 VOP fee and $150 public defender fees. Could the monetary obligations, because he already has enormous obligations, could they be basically held in abeyance until?
Why don't we, they're payable through 12 months after you get out, and then it'll go to a lien.
Thank
So
you.
it gives you time to try and pay them, so it may not affect your license. It helps.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else?
That is it, Your Honor, unless the state has anything.
Ms. Sharpless, anything?
No, Your Honor, that's from the state.